Hello everyone, it's Helen at Journaling Planet, and the very first thing I have to do in this video is give a shout out to Kelly at Book and Paper Arts, because simply I would not be making this video without her videos and without the course of hers that I did, where you make a book sort of about yourself, a sort of visual diary or illustrated journal, whatever you want to call it. I have wanted to do a project like this for years. This one is not finished, but I am so excited about what I've learned so far. I absolutely 100% had to just give you a look inside the project and talk about what I've learned so far. In all honesty, I have been too scared to do a project like this, probably for about 20 years, maybe even slightly more than that, maybe more like 25. And the reason is I was deterred from doing art when I was younger because I was told there was no career in that. And although I defiantly went off and became an author, I still never returned to my childhood love of drawing or illustrating. Junk journaling was sort of the first step in that direction for me, but finding Kelly's videos has been an inspiration. And if you're not already following her work and you're interested in creating your own visual diary or illustrated journal, I really recommend that you follow her work. And if you're a junk journaler, there is lots in there for you too, in terms of breakdown of collage and how to do it. So I am very proud to present the beginnings of my very first ever illustrated journal. And I'm going to talk about 5 lessons that I've learned in creating the beginnings of it. The book itself is just a watercolor pad, spiral bound. I had it lying around and it looked like a good landscape sort of shape to start with. The first lesson that I learned is that all of my papercraft and junk journaling skills were transferable. You're looking at the front cover now. It's probably not finished. I'm probably going to add a couple of marks, maybe some tea stains or something like that to finish it off, but I'm not going to do that till I'm totally finished, till I know what's in the book. I just wanted to put something on the front that indicated the time frame it would be covering, which is autumn 2023. I used my papercraft and junk journaling skills to do this. Any of you could. I just got some paper scraps, book paper scraps, and collaged over the front cover to give it a bit of sturdiness. I found an image from a book. I'm obsessed with fairy tales, particularly sort of autumn themed fairy tales, and I think of Little Red Riding Hood as being one of those because she goes into the forest. And I just got my ink stamps and I got some numbers from some old bingo cards and I pasted them to the front. It required 0 artistic skill set to make this front cover. I didn't do any of the drawing. Really all I had to do was try and get the stamping somewhere near in a straight line. I didn't even really manage that, but I like it. I like the beginning of this. I think it reflects me and what I think of when I think of autumn, and it's also got potential to be built upon. So it's just a work in progress. But yes, as you can see, this illustrated journal starts with absolutely no drawing from me on the front cover at all. It is just cutting and pasting a lot of the things we do in our junk journal work. And that theme continues on the inside cover and the front page, where I'd made this. Some of you may have seen the tutorial where I actually made this little collage ages ago, this autumn theme collage, and I thought, gee, that would make a good pocket. So I attached the pocket to the inside front page, and in here I've just kept a couple of lovely little cards that I've been sent. I'm very lucky to have friends, pen pals, who send me gorgeous things through the post. And because this was blank and the back of it would be showing, I just pasted a picture that somebody else took. This isn't even my own photography of one of my books, the latest book that's come out, and they posted it in this wonderful autumnal setting in their house with kind of gorgeous autumnal plates and mugs and cushions and upholstery. And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to print that off and go to a photo printers and print that off and washi tape it to the back so it sort of sticks out of the front cover. And that book did come out in the September, so it fits in my autumn journal. I decided that I would do it seasonally, and then that takes the pressure off doing a journal every day. I'm probably not going to do a journal every day because, I've got writing to do, I've got work to do. So there are quite a few entries over the season so far, and there'll be some more before the season ends, but it won't be a daily journal, and I think it's good to kind of take the pressure off myself. More junk journaling stuff going on in this pocket. This pocket is essentially a piece of book page. In fact, it's from the same Red Riding Hood children's book that I just ripped from. This was fussy cut from a book about birds, and this was a page from a nature journal, and it had October on it. Seemed perfect. I did some gessoing, I did a bit of mark making and dated it, and then I shoved in it this autumn journaling card. It's just pictures from magazines, folks, and on this side it's just a nature journal outcut, so little words from a nature journal. So all very easy to create, all very much possible for those who've done junk journaling. It's decorative. I'm not writing anything on here. I'm just using the words that somebody else has used to describe the opening days of October, and I just kind of collage this from some magazine bits and bobs. Again, this is a autumn themed tag. Haven't written on it because it's kind of crunchy in texture, so it'd be quite difficult to write on it. I could give it a go, but I quite like the decorative nature of it. This is my photography and it is from a walk over the Tyne Bridge in Newcastle. Me and the dog did it. There's like a zillion bridges, there's trains going across there, and on the back I just glued a piece of squared paper and wrote a little note about the walk. I do have a proper journal where I write longhand about my days and my feelings, and there is no visual element to it. This diary is all about the visual and the physical. In that other diary I tend to write about the emotional and forget to include physical details. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video for those who want to know more about why you might keep a journal like this and the rationale behind it. So all of that so far, anybody with junk journaling skills, you could do this. Anything, any kind of paper crafting, cutting, gluing. I have not had to draw anything, and I've got this far. So then the second lesson that I learned is that you can illustrate with anything. I'm a massive fan, in case you couldn't guess by this layout, of Lana Del Rey. She's a bit of a controversial figure, actually. She's often in trouble with the press, but her music to me gets me as excited about music as I was when I was 16 years old. And when I was 16 years old, there was nothing more important in the world than music. And that's how I feel when I hear her music. So I received one of her songs on vinyl. I don't collect 7-inch vinyl. I don't really collect 12-inch vinyl. I largely have her songs on vinyl. But it came in the post, and it's called Candy Necklace, not Candy Necklaces, as I wrote here. But it's confusing because in the song she sings Candy Necklaces, so I thought that was the name of the song. But there you go. Huge fan of Lana Del Rey, don't even know the name of the song. So if I see a magazine with Lana Del Rey on the cover, you can guarantee I am buying that magazine, because I know at some point in my journaling I will write about her, and I will write about her music and how it affects me. And so this is an old copy of Rolling Stone. It's not even a new copy of Rolling Stone. It's not even current. It's from May this year, so it's not even from autumn. But I received the vinyl in the autumn, so I'm illustrating with those pictures from the magazine. Again, if I see postcards with her on, you can guarantee I will buy them, as long as they're not outrageously expensive. It has to be within budget. But as long as they're not outrageous, then I will buy them, because I know I will write about her. I will write about the things that her music stirs in me. And this page, I mean, a 5-year-old could probably have done it. This is a sticker, Candy Necklace sticker. This is some pretty questionable lettering that I did. I'm just starting out, so I'm not going to get it right, but it's fine. It's fine. This is the magazine cover, postcard, and then on this other side I wrote a little bit about what the song means to me, this Candy Necklaces song. And on this side I just wrote the lyrics and highlighted certain words by doing them in bubble writing and colouring them in. I genuinely think that anyone, even a young person, could have done this. It's not even that neat. And here I actually made a mistake. Wasn't copying carefully enough off the internet what the lyrics were. It's all part of the texture. I'm not going to correct any of it. I'm not going to change any of it. It's showing the progress, or lack of, but some progress in my lettering. And I think it works. It's fine. It documents something about my life that otherwise I can guarantee you I would forget. If I don't do something kind of physical, like kinesthetic with things, I forget them. I can take a photograph and look at the photograph and think, I have no idea where this was taken or who these people are in some cases. So you can illustrate with anything. Continuing on that theme, these are some photographs I took of my gorgeous little dog, Charlie. It was his birthday. He was 10 years old, so he got a pup cake from the local bakery, which is a specially designed cake for dogs. Yes, the dogs around here are that spoiled. And I just stuck them to some glossy photo paper. And I have a tutorial about making faux Polaroids for your junk journal. And I just used that same method. And they're not even all even. This one didn't have any room because the doggies' faces came too close to the end of the photograph and I didn't want to cut them off. There is no border to this, but I just went with it. It doesn't matter that they're all different size borders, different size photographs. It all adds to the randomness. And then as you flip each one of these up, there is something underneath it. So this is the wrapping that Charlie's pup cake came in from the bakery Love Lily, which is just around the corner from where we live. Under here, there's a little note about where we were when we met these dogs, these gorgeous little spaniels who were super obedient. And this was also a little piece of writing about how Charlie always has to be in the photograph whenever I'm taking a photograph of another dog. And here I had a sticker of a dog taking a photograph, so I just thought that's a cute little surprise. And under here, this was after a bad storm. We live on the coast, we live by the sea. This was after a bad storm. A concrete buoy was washed up by the storm, so I got Charlie to pose next to it and wrote "Good boy," B-U-O-Y, on the caption. Yes, I know, it's a terrible pun, but I'm a writer. I love terrible puns. And under here is a piece of fish and chip wrapper that was on the floor and greasy as hell, and I washed it up and stuck it in my journal. I found that on the walk down to the seafront that day. So it just reminds me of that we had the walk along the beach. And down here in stickers, not in lettering, it says, dogs make a life. And I think Charlie really does make my life. So there's another suggestion of how you can illustrate a journal without even drawing a thing. I have not drawn anything yet. And stickers again. I have a lot of these kind of stickers. People give me these kind of stickers, I think because they know that I'm a child at heart. And one of the videos that Kelly has on Book and Paper Arts, she talks about don't be afraid to draw like a child. And I'll show you some of the illustrations that I've done since watching that video, but it really helped me. And it also made me think in my journal, it's okay to lean into my childish side, my playful side. And so I looked through my sticker collection and found all of these wonderful stickers that I would have absolutely loved when I was a 11-year-old. And guess what? I still love them now. These are all things that I would have actually tried to draw when I was 11. I would have definitely tried to draw Minnie Mouse and rockets and shooting stars and unicorns and robots and ice creams. I would have drawn all of that without even thinking about how bad the drawing was. And I really missed that and I want to lean into it. So if you've got some stickers that are kind of not really the traditional vintage junk journaling style, but they're really cute and you want to fill a page with them in your illustrated journal, you could do this. And down here I've just written about the artists I've been following recently who've been encouraging me to lean into my child side, one of which is Kelly. So this is the last sort of non-drawing page, the sort of you can illustrate with anything kind of page. For those of you thinking, oh, I'm too scared to draw, which is what I've been like for the last 25 years of my life. This is just, many of you will recognize it. I don't live in the US, but I did get some books delivered from the US recently, and I just love the design of this. I know it must seem very everyday to some of you, but to me it is post from a foreign land, and it is very exciting. I've also glued in the second class stamps that came on post from my auntie and from a friend. These are very important to me because our Queen died recently. Some of you know that she died, and we now have a king, but there will only be so many stamps left with the Queen on them. So I am posting many of them in here to sort of document, and when they start posting stamps with the king on them, and I think there are some already in circulation when I receive one, I will also start posting them in here, and it sort of documents a shift in our monarchy without me having to draw anything. And this was just a great postcard that one of my friends sent me from an art exhibition, and I felt like it fit this page. When I flip it up, it will have, when I'm finished, this isn't a finished page, it'll have all of my postal ephemera posted here, and then Andrew's card, my friend Andrew's card, will just sit across it like that. And who knows, maybe I'll then add to it and do some mark making, but it's a page in progress, and you can sort of see how I'm starting to illustrate. The third lesson I learned is that actually I'm not great at writing freehand yet, sort of lettering across the page without any guidelines. So I just decided that I would add some lined paper in where necessary and some squared paper in where necessary, so that I could at least guarantee that I'd write in a vaguely straight line. And I'll show you some other pages where I've incorporated this as well. I just think sometimes we think, oh, I can't do that because I have to write on the blank page. No, we don't. Nobody has to write in any way, shape or form in their own diary. You can write however you want. And we're quite used to, as junk journalers or, as collages, tearing up paper and scribbling or writing over it to add to the texture. So I think it is, really important to remember that you do not have to write on the blank page. And that certainly writing with lines and squares can help you get used to writing and lettering in a more interesting way before you then go freehand across blank space, which I think is very intimidating for people like me. I mean, I'm a writer, but I'm not an expert letterer. So it's quite intimidating. Not so much if you've got the lines or the squares there to guide you. So that's a quick third lesson. The fourth lesson then sounds very basic, but I have had to accept that it is okay to draw like a child, and this is something that, as I say, I learned on Kelly's video. This page here summarises a weekend Charlie and I spent with some family. They have a dog called Betty. We were sat in front of the open fire talking, and I tore up some book page, glued it down, and tore up some squared paper, glued it down, and wrote over the squared papers just to make some little notes at what we did at Viv and Marty's house. This is not the best drawing of a dog there ever was, but it does remind me of Betty. It does look like Betty. This is not the best drawing of a fireplace there's ever been, but it reminds me vaguely of what Viv and Marty's fireplace looks like. And this is the whole point of me keeping this journal, is so that I can keep track of the physical details as well as what's going on for me emotionally, because these things are important. And for my nieces and nephews, it might be a very nice keepsake one day for them to look through Auntie Helen's life as she saw it, in pictures and in some very short words as well. So a child could draw these things that I've drawn, and some children could do it a lot better, but it's a starting point. And I did this off a photograph, and I did this off real life. I was sat in front of the fireplace because there was a terrible storm here, and I just sat and I drew the geometric shapes, and then I used a photograph of Betty because obviously a dog is not going to sit still whilst you draw them. So I did need the photograph to do that. And I'm proud of these images, even though I know they're not high art. I'm proud of the fact that I took the leap, was willing to draw like a child, not be overcritical, and as such, I've got a cute little page in my journal. It did feel a little bit when I drew this like it was, I don't know, just a bit too symmetrical, with one drawing and some writing on one side and one drawing on some writing on the other. So I decided I would paste a postcard that somebody sent me through the mail over the top, but this is like optional. It's just whatever you want to do. It's just how the page feels to you. My neighbour Linda gave me these chalk pastels. They were just lying around her house. I mentioned that I wanted some because I'd seen them used on YouTube in Kelly's videos. And she had these lying around and just left them on my doorstep for me. So here's another lesson. This is not part of the 5 lessons. But if you just keep telling everyone that you are doing this kind of thing, you will suddenly start acquiring things. Even my dad has started giving me paintbrushes and pencils and pens. And I say even my dad because, you know, growing up, my parents weren't that keen on me having a creative life. They thought that would lead to wreck and ruin, that I would never have any money. And they did it with love, but they weren't, you know, they just did not want me to do the creative thing. And now even my dad is giving me art supplies. So if you just keep telling people that you do this, then, you know, you will end up getting gifts, that unexpected gifts from unexpected places that require you to spend nothing. So this is technically a page where I have drawn, but I haven't drawn anything. I've just got each colour and I have put a little sample of the colour across the page. Anyone could do it. A 5-year-old could do it. My nephew could do it. But it looks quite nice. And I've just given each of the colours a name that relates to my local area where I live. It's not the actual name of the colour, I just made some up. North Sea Blue, Sycamore Gap Green, Coal Mine Black. I just made them up for fun. And I explained at the bottom that I'd made them up for fun in case anyone looks at it in the future and go, I've never heard of Coal Mine Black before. And I just gave the page a little title because these are the precise colours that I took with me to Viv and Marty's. I only took a small selection of the chalk pastels that I got from Linda, and I wanted to kind of document that I had, you know, taken them with me. So, drawing like a child, scribbling like a child in this case. Anyone watching this could do this. If I could do it, anyone can. So then I started to gain a little bit in confidence once I decided that it didn't have to be a Picasso. And I took that pressure off me. I started doing things like drawing my lunch, which again is a great still life thing to draw, and screwing with the colours that were in front of me. So we all know that Coke does not come in a green can, but I enjoyed colouring it in green. That tomatoes are red, not pink. And, you know, that crisps rarely come in pink and orange packaging. But I just went to a little cafe and I wanted to document what I had for lunch. This is actually a cutout. This is not my drawing. This is just the wrapper of the biscuit that I had glued into place. So you don't even have to draw your lunch if you don't want to. You could just paste the wrapper down. I had some white space here, so I decided to practice some lettering. Main thing is I have a document of that lunch, and it's quite fun to see my sort of illustration skills gaining in confidence. And then over here, I wanted to document a little mural that I saw. I go for Reiki at this sort of holistic centre down the peninsula from where I live, and I passed the end of the building, and for the first time I noticed that there were some doves muralled on the end of the wall. So I took a photograph and then I later drew it. And I also passed what is known as a ghost sign, which is a sign for a business that is no longer in operation. Sometimes it's hand-painted lettering, sometimes it's mosaic, sometimes it's tiles. This one was for St. Bruno, the tobacco that won't be hurried. And then I put the other lettering that appeared on the sign, which told people, you know, where they were, the fact that it was a newsagents, tobacconists and stationers. So this is all lettering work, it's not drawing. But I just used, again, a photograph to vaguely replicate the sign that I saw. A long time ago, I wrote a book about ghost signs, and they're always of interest to me because they've got typography on them, and I'm interested in typography. And then the last thing that I'll show you, and just to really show you you can draw like a child, is that yes, I've got these stickers at the top, and I've got this hand pointing upwards to suggest that there is something going on in here. I just decided to do a very quick drawing list of things that I was grateful for, and I'll just tell you that my dog does not look like this. He's not orange for a start, and the sea is also not orange, and it doesn't really look like that. But I just had a go, and then I backed it onto some card from my junk journaling stash and pasted it into the book. So lesson number 4 is please just lean into drawing like a child, and you can have cute stuff in your visual diary. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be Picasso. It doesn't matter. It's just to remember and to enjoy. And so the last lesson is that variety, I think anyway, in your visual diary is good. You don't need to have a theme. Let's take mine as an example. Okay, autumn theme to introduce the fact that's the time of year, but then we skip to dogs, fireplaces, art supplies. Then we move on to this page, which I didn't show you, was one of my illustrated pages. This was from when we've had a first drive in a Land Rover. It's the first time I've ever been in one. It was really cool. I can't really draw a Land Rover. I looked up an image online and just did a silhouette. I mean, this is the lighthouse near where I live, and I didn't even manage to draw it straight. I mean, the top is crooked, which kind of adds to the scene because it's from when there was a big storm, and actually the lighthouse did suffer some damage and the pier suffered some damage. So it kind of ties in, but it wasn't deliberate, if you know what I mean. And then there's this tiny little bit of scrap paper that I pasted in that was from a peanut box. And my husband was a cyclist, and obviously I walk Charlie all the time, and so it reminds me of, even when I'm off on adventures like this, I'm remembering my husband who's no longer with me, and wishing he was with us on that adventure. And that was from a peanut box. So you can find things anywhere to stick into your illustration journal. And you know, in the same vein of drawing like a child, I did some autumn favourites. This is from a bar of chocolate that I particularly like, this piece of card. And when I lift it up, you can see that I actually screwed up the drawing on a first attempt. Yes, I did something that was actually worse than this, because I used inks that all ran together and made an absolute mess. So I just posted over some square paper and did another drawing of my little stuffed animal. And it stands out, it's different, it's obvious it's a second attempt, but I don't know, it just adds to the texture. It's not a big deal. So there's always an opportunity for a second attempt. So yes, as you can see, just going back to our point about variety, you know, you go from art supplies to lighthouses to autumn favourites to Lana Del Rey to Dogs Make a Life to lunch and to murals and typography and things that I'm grateful for. So if you take these pages one at a time, and we'll just flip back through them again, you can see that there is no the common theme is my life. There is no common theme like it's all about autumn, or it's all about the sea, or it's all about Lana Del Rey. It's not. It's all about different things, because my life is made up of different things. And that's okay. So lastly then, for those of you who are still with me, and bless you for that, I want to talk about why it's so important to keep a journal like this one. When my husband passed away, I realised that my memory is really bad. And a lot of the little physical details about our life, I couldn't remember, which was really scary, because I want to remember as much about him as I can. So I'm going to be going back through the mementos I've collected from when me and my husband were together and he was still here, and try and pinpoint some precise times in our life, like our honeymoon and things, and make a book just about that, so that I can hang on to those physical details. As I said before, I struggle to remember what's happened, even if I've taken a photograph. I can be going, I have no idea where that photograph was taken, even if I recognise the people. In doing something kinetic, or physical with them, even if it's drawing from the photograph or pasting it in and then writing something right next to it to remind myself, it increases the chances that I'll remember what was happening for me at that time. And I hope to reach old age, and I hope to have something to look back on, and I hope also that people who live beyond me will be able to look through these things and see the life that I led. When my husband was alive, a lot of the moments that we shared, I just thought were insignificant little moments, and I didn't understand that all those insignificant little moments made up a very significant life. So there is nothing too small to document, from some pastels your neighbour leaves on your doorstep to a lunch that you had in a cafe that was very basic. No matter how small you think your life is, it is worth documenting. And that's a thought I want to leave you with. Do you already keep a visual diary? I would love to hear from people in the comments about this question. I know I'm not alone in keeping them. I know that other people do this, and they do it with a lot more courage and a lot more risk taking than I do. So if you have tips, if you have ideas, if you have questions, if you're still saying, but I can't draw, put it in the comments so that I can go, just have a go. Or I can point you at a video where somebody helps you gain your confidence to draw. Because come on folks, this is not high class art, but it's important to me. And that's what matters. So if I can come online and show images like this without any shame, then I think you can create something very similar too. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll definitely be sharing some more about this journey in future videos, but I would love to hear some comments about people who are already doing it, people who are too scared to do it, because that was me just 2 weeks ago. I look forward to reading those comments. Thank you for all of the subscribes, and good news for those of you signed up to my newsletter, link in the box below. I will be returning from my hiatus in November and sending out a free printable. Since my husband died, I've taken a little break from that, but I'm back at it in November, and I can't wait to connect with you all again. For now, take care of yourself, go make something creative, and I'll see you soon.